The views and opinions expressed by the guest author or speaker during this live session are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Reader's Magnet. The content shared is for informational purposes only and does not constitute endorsement or promotion of any particular belief, ideology, or product.
Hello, authors, book lovers, and storytellers. Welcome to RM Hive, and you're tuning in to Reader's Magnet's featured author interview. I'm your host, Revan, and I'm very excited to introduce to you our guest today. He is the author of Stand and Be Kings, governing the realms of business, family, and self-fulfillment. Everybody, let us all welcome Ronnie Daniel. Hi, Ronnie. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Revan. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yes. And before we start the questioning part of the interview, so let us introduce Ronnie Daniel first. So, Ronnie, who is Ronnie Daniel?
Well, I'm someone who's worked in the nonprofit industry for about 35 years. I've worked in
Mhm,
multiple nonprofits, including the Boy Scouts of America. I've worked for the Natural History Museum of Utah, the Loveland Living Planet Aquarium. I've worked for the Alzheimer's Association. And my
mhm,
current role, I'm the executive director of a nonprofit called Children First Education Fund, where we give out scholarships to children with special needs here in Utah and allow
mhm,
them to have education choice outside of public school. So I just had a lot of experience in that realm and held a lot of leadership positions and had to create a lot of relationships with donors and with the supporters of different programs that I've been in. And so the things that I've learned throughout my career about leadership and about personal development are really what my book is all about, and trying to share that in a fun way that people can use and
mhm.
hopefully build those same kind of skills that I've learned over my 35 years of experience.
Yes. So today we are actually going to feature your first book, correct? This is Stand and Be Kings.
Right.
So, what is it about?
So it is about, as the subtitle says, it's about governing the different realms of your life. And so in the book,
Mhm,
I talk about the different realms that each of us, whether we're male or female, have to really have some kind of control over. And the first realm is really that realm of your own personal relationship with yourself.
mhm,
And I like to talk about in the book about that higher entity of your life. And so it's not a religious book per se, but it does talk about connecting with a higher source. And I think that for most
mhm,
people that are successful in their lives, they believe in some kind of higher source that's a guiding power for them. So that's the first realm, is connecting with
mhm,
that higher power. Really, how do you govern how you talk to yourself? Have we ever thought about how we talk to ourselves? And are we giving ourselves good talk, or are we always
mhm,
putting ourselves down? And so that's the first realm, is really developing a relationship with ourselves in a positive way. The second realm is looking at our spouse and our family, those really interpersonal relationships that will make your life very, very happy, or can make
mhm,
your life very, very miserable if the relationships aren't strong. And so I give some counsel and advice and things that I've learned I've been married for 37 years. I have 4 children that are all married now. I have
mhm,
soon to be 9 grandchildren. And so I talk about how do we
mhm.
manage and facilitate those relationships so that they're very positive and supportive and helpful, and talk about that interpersonal relationship that we need to have with,
The
our.
views and opinions expressed by the guest author or speaker during this live session are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Reader's Magnet. The content shared is for informational purposes only and does not constitute endorsement or promotion of any particular belief, ideology, or product.
All right, are we back?
We're back. Okay.
Right,
Yeah, yeah, I was also shocked.
so
Okay,
I think
so
that's a
just
really important part of the book, is talking about how to strengthen relationships with people. Any
uh-huh.
type of a career is all about people, right? I mean, whether you're selling
Mhm,
something or you're manufacturing something or whatever it might be, it all revolves around having good relationships with other people. And so that's a big part of
mhm,
my book, is how to do that. The third realm is our friends, and the fourth realm is our business associates, and then the fifth realm is
mhm,
the world at large. And so what kind of impact, what kind of legacy do we want to leave at the end of our lives. And so as I can see on the horizon of my life, I'm on the downside now in my career and my life. So that's something that's been important to me as well. What kind of legacy do I want to leave? And if I were to leave some advice for my children and grandchildren, what would it be? And I think that's really the essence of what this book is all about, is how to create those types of relationships in our lives.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting for people. So for people out there who really wants to know the different realms of your life and just get to have some guide and have that higher power in yourself and get positivity, this book is perfect for you. So, Ronnie, who is the target audience for your book?
So, the title is Stand and Be Kings. And so I would have to say it's first of all written to men. I've heard it said when I got married, my dad told me, he said, there's no operation manual for marriage, right? There's not a handbook that says, here's how to have a good marriage. And likewise, I don't think there's really any kind of an operational manual for us as men of how do we be successful in our lives. And so, so there's some things there about what I've learned about how to be a successful man. And so that's, as we talk about these realms, I believe all of us can become kings of those realms of our lives. And so you don't have to be born into royalty to be a king of yourself and of your life and your situation. And so, but that doesn't mean women wouldn't love reading the book. My wife read the book and she loves it. In fact, she and I have talked about writing a sequel to this book called Stand and Be Queens, and talking about the same type of principles, but from a woman's point of view, and how that might work for them. And so, so that's something that's down the road that I might be looking at doing.
That's actually a great idea to write a different concept of your book from your wife's perspective as well. So that actually comes from this book, which is your idea. So that's nice. That's really nice.
Yeah.
So what do you hope your readers will learn from this book?
So I think some basic life skills. I would have to say, if you're asking me what kind of genre this book is, it's really in the genre of personal development. And so it's all about how do you develop skills. And I know that most people would read this book, and there's probably concepts in here that sound good to them, or things they're already doing in their lives, and that's intentional. I'm not trying to say that there's only one way to live or there's only one way to do things, but I know a lot of people probably have similar experiences as me, and probably have the same kind of questions that I've asked in my life. For instance, as an example of that, I talked about relationships with our spouse, and I remember my wife and I had been married for about 10 years, and I was out working in the yard one day, and I was hot and sweaty. I was moving big boulders around. I was doing some landscaping. So I came in, and to get us a cold drink of lemonade and kind of cool down a little bit. And I was tired, and I was hot, and I was sweaty. And all of a sudden, my wife came storming in. She was then at the grocery store buying groceries, and she was frustrated because she had went and filled a whole cart full of groceries, got up to the checkout stand. They'd all been rung up, and she realized she left her purse at home. And so she had no way to pay for the groceries. And so she had to leave the groceries there. She had to come home and get her purse. And so she came running into the house. She was telling me all this in great frustration. I was so hot and tired, I really didn't have time to solve her problem, And so I just kind of stood there and listened and said, oh, that must have been horrible. And what a bad thing. And then after about 10 minutes of her sharing this, she jumped up and she gave me a kiss and said, thanks for listening. And she ran out and back to the store to buy her groceries. And I kind of stood there dumbfounded, like I didn't do anything. I didn't solve her problem. I didn't give her any good advice. I just listened to her. And I learned an incredible lesson from that I don't need to solve my wife's problem. She doesn't need me to be her savior. She doesn't need me to fix things for her. She just needs me to be supportive and to listen to her. She's fully capable of solving her own problems. And I don't need to solve her problems for her. And so that, building upon that experience, my wife and I have learned a lot in dealing with each other over the years, and how we can have a much stronger marriage, much stronger relationships with one another. And so I share a lot of those things that I've learned. A lot of them are mistakes I've made in my 37 years of marriage. And hopefully I can share those mistakes with the intent that other people won't make the same mistakes that I made, and they can learn from my experience.
Yes, they sure will if they're going to read the book. And by the way, the story is interesting. You just listen there, and then your wife already thanked you for that. So she just actually needed someone who will listen.
Exactly.
So very important as well. So what are the most important principle taught in your book?
So I think the most important principles are just those personal development things, like,
Mm-hmm.
self-talk. I think that's so important.
Yes,
And
I
I think
agree.
that can relate into meditating, and it can be
Mm-hmm.
part of that. What are we feeding our brains with? I used to be the biggest talk radio junkie. And every
Mm-hmm.
day, I did a lot of driving, and so I would listen to talk radio in my car all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and just pump myself full of really, what it was down to, it was hate and deception, and there's never a good story, and everybody's the problem, and I just filled myself with that, and I found myself
Mm-hmm.
just feeling this rage and this upset all the time. And so I decided one day I was just going to cut it out cold turkey. So I stopped listening to talk radio. I stopped subscribing to different television programs.
Mm-hmm.
I actually stopped the newspaper. I stopped, getting all of that bad news that we get all day long. And I
Mm-hmm.
started filling my brain full of positive things and really trying to improve myself. And it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing, when I stopped feeding my brain with all of this doom and despair, how much happier I became. I stopped being so fearful and so upset about things, and I even stopped following people on social media, including some of my own family members. And so
Mm-hmm.
just because I did not want to have those bad feelings in my
Yes,
mind.
yes.
And so I talk about that in my book. How do you feed your mind with things that will keep you in a positive frame of mind, that
Mm-hmm.
will keep you focused on the things that are important? I talk a little bit in the book about how do we schedule our lives so that we
Mm-hmm.
can not only take care of ourselves, but we can
Mm-hmm.
also be successful in our career. We can also have great relationships with our family. We
Mm-hmm.
can make an impact in the world. But that's you can't do that without having a way of scheduling your life in a way that will help you accomplish all those things. So I think that's another important concept that I talk about in the book as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then just, how do you plan effectively for yourself and for your
Mm-hmm.
family, and setting goals and things like that. So I talk about goal setting and how to do that effectively, and how to keep yourself accountable, how to hold other people accountable in a positive way. Those are all
Mm-hmm.
really important principles that I talk about in the book. And the book is, by hearing me talk about these things, you might think, oh, this sounds like a textbook, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not. It's really written in a very fun narrative format.
Mm.
It's kind of a fictional story
Mhm,
where a person who I would guess represents myself,
mm,
has kind of gone through this midlife crisis, so to speak, and he has this kind of magical experience where he meets a
mhm,
king from the olden days, and learns about this king's story. And so the king is the one teaching the lessons and helping people understand what their principles are. And I did it that way because I've read dozens, if not hundreds, of these kind of personal help books, and I didn't want it to be a dry, boring book. I wanted it to be kind of fun, and so the narrative is designed to keep it fun and moving along.
yeah. So I really like the idea of a fictional story that's also a personal development book.
Mm-hmm.
So it actually wants readers like me. I actually read a lot of books, and I haven't read the book yet, but it interests me. It intrigues me to delve into the pages. So, oh, this has a fictional story that actually can give impact to my life as well.
Right.
So, to the positive messages that you've talked about a while ago, I was really interested in this already. So, for those of you
I hope you
guys,
read it.
yes, I will read it. I will find it. So, this is available on Amazon, correct?
Correct. Yep. Yep. You
So,
can just go to Amazon and search "Stand and Be Kings," and it's available for
mm-hmm,
sale there. And it's been a really fun journey in writing this. I never really thought of myself as an author. One day I started thinking about these principles and how the impact they've had on my life. And so I just sat down one day at my computer and started writing them out. And all of a sudden this story came to me. And I wrote the book in literally about 60 days. The ideas just kept coming. In fact, I was working in a full-time job, and I just couldn't wait to get home so I could keep writing and telling the story.
Right.
And so it's something that's been very meaningful to me, and I'm really excited about having a published book and being able to share some of these concepts and ideas with people.
Yes, and now you're an author now.
Right.
So yeah, with the discipline of writing it every day, with the commitment, then you're an author now.
Yeah.
So how do you think your book can change someone?
Well, one of the groups of people I most worry about in my life are my grandchildren and my grandsons in particular. My oldest grandson's about to turn 10 years old, and growing up today in today's world is so much different than when I grew up in the 60s and 70s and 80s. There's so much more social media impact in people's lives. There's so many voices that we can try to find truth from, right? And so I really want the men of this world to find somewhere where they can grasp on and see, and these are true principles. I mean, these aren't things I've made up. These are principles that I've learned in my life and applied in my life and found success from. And so I really hope that people can grasp onto these principles and use them and help them to be successful. And I especially want the young people of the world to learn these things. I was fortunate as a young man to be really involved in the scouting program with Boy Scouts of America. And I learned some incredible principles. I had some incredible mentors, including my father, who was my scout leader for a long time. And so from those people, I learned some incredible skills that I think helped me have a leg up in the world, so to speak. I was able to, I think, move farther, faster in my career because I had learned those things. And so if there are any people out there, especially men, who are kind of floundering, who are wondering what their life is all about, they're looking for some purpose, they're looking for a way to make a difference, I really hope that Stand and Be Kings can be a guide for them that can help them really come to find the purpose that they're seeking in their lives.
Nice. So do you really think all men can become king?
I really do. I say that. The title of the book is kind of fun, and it's this fictional story about a king. But in the story, the main character is King Henry, and King Henry was a stable boy, and he met someone who was of royalty. He helped them. He helped him with his horse and whatnot. And in payment, this king told King Henry the secrets of becoming a king. And the first secret is you don't have to be a royalty to be a king. A king is someone who has the skills and abilities to govern the realms of their lives. And so I really do believe anyone can be a king or a queen of their realms, of their lives, and do really make a difference in the way that they go about living their lives.
Okay. So to all our viewers out there, all of you can be kings or queens. So that's from our author, Ronnie Daniel. So Ronnie, do you have other projects that we need to look forward to?
Well, I as I mentioned, I'd love to write a sequel to this with my wife. Telling these same principles from the perspective of women, and because it's different. Certainly, I don't claim to know what women, how women think or function at all. I'm still learning in my almost 60 years of life, trying to understand how women think, and I don't know that I'll ever figure it out. And so, I'd really love to do that with my wife. But one of the things that I'm looking forward to as I kind of come to the end of my career working in nonprofits, I would love to be able to do some consulting and work with individuals and companies that are looking for personal development. I think any corporate leader in America or around the world needs to have a team of people who are self-confident, who have success skills, within them, And so I would love to be able to provide some consulting and help people who are looking to implement these skills in their lives and do that on a long-term basis.
Mm-hmm. So right now, I'm going to give you time to promote your book, where we can find it, and then your website that we can follow as well.
Perfect. Yeah. So as we mentioned earlier, you can find my book very easily on Amazon. Just search for Stand and Be Kings, and you'll see the cover of the book that's there on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And then so the I know it's
Mm-hmm.
backwards there, but it's the same cover. Stand and Be Kings. Find it there easily on Amazon. My website is RonnieDanielConsulting.com, and so you can go there and learn a little bit more about myself and my story. And as I develop these services of doing some consulting work, it'll be posted there on my website as well. So I'm someone who has really given my life to nonprofit service, and so I'm not a Fortune 500 executive who's gone out and made billions and billions of dollars. But I really believe in my life I've been able to make a difference for people working in the nonprofits that I have, and helping especially children have a better life. And so that's something that's important to me. And so I would love to be able to share the things that I've learned in my life, be it through my book or through some public speaking or consulting work, if anyone might be interested in that.
Mm-hmm. So to all of viewers out there, again, this is Ronnie Daniel with his book Stand and Be King, available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And you can also visit www.ronniedanielconsulting.com. So it has been an awesome time with you, Ronnie. Thanks for
Thank you.
visiting us here at Readers Magnet. So, all right, Ronnie Daniel, everybody. So get your copy of Stand and Be King on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And once again, thank you for spending time with us here at Readers
Thank you so
Magnet,
much, Ethan.
Ronnie.
Appreciate it.
And so, guys, let us open the pages and unravel the secrets of your personal odyssey. And I believe that your ink never runs dry. So go tell your story, you storyteller. And this is your host, Revan. And as we say it here in Reader's Magnet, we share your story with the world. Bye now. Stay awesome.